The next question is to you, Mr. Bartlett. How does your background and experience, personal, professional, and ideological, make you our best choice as our representative? Why should I vote for you?
It's a great question. Well, as I just stated, my life experience and deep roots in all three communities, I think that I bring a different perspective. Having run a small business in the last 12 years, I understand the obstacles that small businesses face in healthcare, for example, how much it actually costs to insure an employee and having to pay those premiums for my employees. That was a very difficult thing to do over the years. And I know that, we had Joe Plummer that we heard about all night last night. So certainly healthcare and small businesses are an issue that we must confront. And I think that having been one in downtown Bethel, that is something that I bring to the table. I was educated at the University of Connecticut. I've been wanting to do public service and advocacy for most of my life. I was president of Joe Barlow High School here. I was president of State Student Council. I even came back to Reading after I graduated from UConn and got active here in the community before I moved on to Bethel. So it is something that I've always wanted to do, and I hope that my record has demonstrated that I have what it takes to bring $750,000 back to Bethel for education, $3 million back to Danbury for education, $330,000 back to Reading for education. A number of things that I've been able to deliver for the 2nd District, I think has made me effective.
Thank you, Ms. O'Brien.
Again, the question was the personal, professional, and ideological, and why you should.
Personal, professional, ideological, and why they should vote. They should choose you as their representative, and why should they vote for you?
Well, personally, I'm a mother of 4 wonderful children, one of which is sitting right there looking at me. Did you do your homework? Married to the next gentleman next to him for 3 decades, happiest years of my life, and really a part of this community. I grew up and was educated in Ridgefield High School, graduated there as student council president, and even then wanted to change the world, but decided that I better get an education first. Went to law school, first got my undergraduate degree, then went to law school, and wanted to get into public service at that time, but wanted a little bit of experience behind me. I've always had a desire to get into public service. I feel that it's the greatest good that you can do to really bring your time and talents into a community, and I think that's a great thing for people to do. Professionally, I am an attorney. I have been an attorney for 24 years. I have a fairly varied background. I was 14 years with a law firm, which I was a partner in Waterbury. Did a fair amount of regulatory compliance, statutory interpretation, provided advice to businesses, individuals, a wide range of things. Subsequently went to practice in Ridgefield for 9 or so years, and now I'm in Bethel. And ideologically, I'm just a great believer in democracy, in hearing everybody and what they have to say, bringing as many people as possible into the process, building bridges, forging consensus. As a matter of fact, I do that on a regular basis. I find common ground between divergent parties and interests. Everybody's got to give a little, but when you find the common ground that matters to people, they can and will come together. You put arrogance aside, you put egos aside, and you just make it happen. I would just like to respond to my opponent's comment about his independence and so forth. I take issue with the fact that he has voted 95.5% of the time with his party. That does not persuade me a great deal of independence. In response to the comments about education and the money brought into the district, I would just point out that by not considering an alternative budget proposal, that there were opportunities lost to the 3 towns in the district. That considered that more money would have been available in fact, that proposal had even been considered, which she voted not to do. In fact, that would have meant $227,580 more to Bethel, $313,231 more to Reading, and $3.8 million more to Danbury. It was a lost opportunity to the district not to at least consider the other proposal.
Thank you. Question to you, Ms.
May I
Do you want?
respond?
Yes, you may respond. Please take note of the time used. Also.
Thank you. I would just like to say that I have worked in a bipartisan fashion at the Capitol. I actually have the endorsement of the AFL-CIO and the Connecticut Business and Industry Association, CBIA, which I think is quite a hat trick for a Democrat to get both the AFL-CIO, which represents business interests, and the endorsement of the AFL-CIO, which is seen as more representing unions and the working person. So I'm very proud of the fact that I received both endorsements, and I think it demonstrates that, yes, Representative Bartlett can be independent and does vote principle and looks at an issue and decides what's best for his district. I think on the Education Committee in which I serve, there have been many times that I have crossed the aisle. I've crossed the aisle when I feel that the Education Committee was going to pass a law that was an unfunded mandate. I think that's very important to the towns of Reading, Bethel, and Danbury, and I have voted time and time again against unfunded mandates. I voted with Republicans and put forward, in fact, a bill that addresses affordable housing, which I also know is a deep concern here in Reading. We shouldn't have a riverbend development busting up our local planning and zoning laws. And I've crossed the aisle to work with Republican legislators to come up with alternatives to 830G. And I've actually put forward some ideas of my own that I hope that we'll get to talk about. So I think that I've built bridges and I've worked across the aisle. I was actually one of two Democrats, I believe, the last day of the session to vote against Sheff versus O'Neill, which I considered a $700 million boondoggle for the city of Hartford. Not that I don't appreciate and want to see the schools in that area integrated, but I felt that that was not the way to do it, and I went against the entire Democratic caucus to vote no. So I have shown that I can work in a bipartisan way.
Thank you. Next question, Ms. O'Brien.